Hey, I'm Deedra, host of the Do It My Way podcast, where we empower women business owners and CEOs to do business on their terms with no regrets, hesitation, or fear. I'm obsessed with all things marketing. I started my career in television, and I remember sitting in countless meetings, listening to executives talk about things that needed to change, but they never did. I was always thinking, what if we did it my way? Once I became an entrepreneur and I started living life on my terms, working the hours I want to work, making the money I want to make, I started to feel success. I was finally in control of my destiny. I hope you will join me on this journey discovering how you can do it your way. You're going to love my next guest, Dr. Maribeth Kuzmeski. She is an author, speaker, entrepreneur, and OSU professor. So you're going to love her advice and how she came up with the Red Zone. Dr. K, I'm so excited to have you on today.
Well, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
So I met you at the OSU Marketing Club. They asked me to come speak, and I do a little bit, speak at the digital marketing class every once in a while. And you were there as a professor, and then we talked after for just a little bit, and I was like, wow, I'm impressed with that lady. Like, these students are so lucky to have you there. And then I found out you don't even live there, which is crazy. But you've got your orange on today, which makes me super happy. Go Pokes. So share with me how you came, just kind of give the overview of your career. And I know you've done a million things. So let's just hear a little bit about it.
Well, I started a marketing consulting firm way back when, more than 20 years ago, called Red Zone Marketing. And I'd been doing that in the financial services industry. So our clients are Morgan Stanley, Merrill Lynch, Fidelity, Schwab, financial advisors, asset managers, things in the financial industry. And I was doing that and very happy to do it. And then I decided around the time that my son was going to go to college, I said, I'm going to go back to school and get my PhD. And so I looked for schools that had PhD programs that were executive PhDs, because I thought there has to be something like that. Well, there was, and it was at Oklahoma State of all places. So at the time I was living in Chicago. And so I started this PhD program. And then after the program started, or after the program finished, they asked me to come back and teach a class. And I thought, in Stillwater, Oklahoma, I live in Chicago.
Right.
Well, it was just an interesting thing where I couldn't say no to the opportunity, because they were allowing me to teach the class the way I thought that marketing should be taught. And it's the core class. I'd be in front of lots of students. And I thought, nobody will ever give me this opportunity. I'm going to take it. And it's going to be a stop in my journey, speaking and consulting and doing the work at my agency.
That's amazing. Okay, so the students are so lucky to have that. I mean, especially someone who's been in the real world, because I think one of the most frustrating things is during college, or there's entrepreneurship classes, and you're like, but you've never been an entrepreneur. So how do you know? So for them to have you, someone who's been on the outside, done marketing for 20 years, has an agency, to come back and share that feedback is just invaluable.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I'm still doing the agency work. And so I can relate to things that are happening like this week and last week, and things that clients are saying and how things are changing in marketing. And it does provide a different perspective than just the research perspective, which a lot of professors provide, which is valuable too, but in a different way.
Okay, so Red Zone Marketing. You've niched down to the financial industry. So tell me a little bit about that. Did you start in finances, or how did that work?
No, not at all. In fact, my fifth client happened to be, when I opened up my marketing consulting firm, my fifth client was a financial advisor. And he ended up having a lot of success. So he reached number one in his firm, and all of a sudden everyone's like, well, what did you do? And he said, well, I hired this marketing consultant. And I didn't close any of the sales. I just helped him with the marketing, but he gave me the credit, so I took it. And they asked me to come and speak at his national conference. So I went and I spoke, and next thing you know, I had 40 clients. I started a coaching program. I started doing consulting and then speaking around the country, all to financial advisors. So it was not by design, but it was fortuitous for sure.
But you took the leap and did it.
Yes.
And I always say there's riches and niches. So I have clients that come all the time and they're like, oh, I can work with everybody, right? I can consult anybody, which the truth is you could do marketing for anybody, right? I mean, marketing is marketing.
Yeah.
But to be able to niche down and people to look at you as the go-to, as the expert, you've written books, you're a national speaker, all of that together it's really creating that personal brand and you becoming the go-to, the expert. So I applaud you for that, because
thank you.
It's honestly scary to jump into a niche.
It is. I was pushed into it, so I didn't have to say, you know what, I'm going to get rid of all my other clients. I had like 4 or 5 other clients. It wasn't like I had millions of clients that I was going to get rid of just to focus on this, but it sort of came at me. But my philosophy in business has always been, and I use it at the university too, I just say yes to everything. I say yes to opportunities, yes, yes, yes. And when I was put in front of that audience to speak at that first conference, I had never spoken publicly before. I was so nervous I didn't eat for a week. I would have said no, but I thought, well, maybe I should just do it. And so I said yes. And I probably did a 3-hour presentation in 45 minutes, just rambled through it as fast as I could and got done. And I was like, I did it. And it wasn't very good, but it was good enough.
Well, it must
and then
have
I got
been.
better.
You got clients.
I got clients, yes. But I think it was the success of the one financial advisor and the idea of how we did that.
So what works in marketing for financial advisors? Because it's not your typical, we're going to go online and run an ad and someone's going to go, oh, I think I want to use you for my financial advisor. You have to establish credibility. It has to be, they have to have influence. It has to be way more than just, yes, I think I'll buy.
Yeah, interesting. We're talking personal brand, and that's what a financial advisor does, because most of the business, and we've done research on this for years, on where does new business come from for financial advisors, and it all comes, not all, about 80% of it, and in some cases 100% come from word of mouth referrals. And so if you want word of mouth and referrals, what do you have to do? Well, you've got to establish your personal brand, your credibility. What do you do well? What is your value statement? All of those kinds of things. And your website is sort of that digital handshake to get them to come in and say, oh yeah, I think I do want to work with this financial advisor. But it's all about word of mouth, doing the right thing, doing good service, doing right by your client. And that turns into something else. It's not something where you go to your mailbox and go, oh, here's a direct mail piece. I think I'm going to choose this financial advisor to manage my millions of dollars.
But people spend millions doing that every year.
not so much anymore, but yes, they do. And certainly financial advisors had done that for years.
Mm-hmm. That's so important. I think, we specialize in personal branding for women, CEOs and entrepreneurs. And I think the hardest thing is getting with them that it's not a quick fix, right? It's not usually a quick thing. This is years of putting content out, and not that it's going to take years to get your first client, but really to build that credibility. It's not a quick fix. Yeah. So what are the steps that you take kind of in the beginning? You get with a financial advisor. What's like step number 1?
In helping them with their personal brand, it's all, we don't actually call it personal branding with them because they would think that was a little on the softer side. But we take a look at, what is your service model? What are your clients saying about you? Mm-hmm. What does your website say? Do you have any video out there? Because the best way to express yourself, and there's a disconnect in financial services. Clients love you. Prospects think you're going to try to sell them something.
Right.
So how do you close that disconnect? And video really helps with that. Mm-hmm. And most of our clients are men, and they're not necessarily as comfortable with doing the video and the personal branding and all of that. So we have to sort of work into it, but it's what really works.
That's great. It's amazing. Okay, so a day in the life. You are speaker, 9-time author, running Red Zone, also, professor at OSU. How do you manage everything? Like, what is a day in the life like?
It's interesting because I think every day is kind of different, but I do try to schedule. So I teach on Mondays and Wednesdays. So Tuesdays and Thursdays are Red Zone days. And Friday is sort of whatever it might be. But I time block every minute of my calendar every single day because I have to. And, I want to show up for the students, which is really the thing that fires me up the most, is being around for students and being available to them and helping them get jobs, teaching, all of those kinds of things, running clubs. But I've got to be present when I'm doing all those things. And if I'm worried about this client project and this thing going on and this other thing and what is my staff doing, I have to time block every single thing.
Absolutely. What about personal time? Do you time block, like, I'm going to do yoga, I'm going to call my mom, I'm going to, like, how much do you put your personal life in that?
Yeah, my personal life has to be in that too. Mm-hmm. So every morning at 6 a.m., I do a workout with some of my friends back from Chicago. And we've been doing it since COVID.
You get on Zoom?
We get on Zoom, we share a workout, and we do it together. We've been doing it since 2020. So yeah, so that's part of every morning we work out, 5 days a week. And then, mostly 5 days a week. Yeah. And then, but going out in the evenings, meeting with friends, all of that has to be on my calendar. Even my husband and I love to golf. And if he doesn't put it on my calendar. I'm like, you didn't put it on my calendar. I can't do it.
Right.
Like, I'm busy. So we have to make sure that everything is time blocked so that we can have the fun and also get the work done.
So what do you think, like working out, how has that translated into you being successful in your career?
You mean doing all the lifting weights and stuff?
And I ask that because I think I've worked out for 25 years, 5 a.m, like religious Monday through Friday. We have similar personality. Like I can tell you're an overachiever and you're all of that. Your life is very boom, boom, boom. And I correlate working out to being successful in life. And that sounds far out there, but if I didn't have the discipline to get up and do what I do every day, it sets me in the right mindset that when I get to work, I've already worked out. I've already had a healthy meal. My meals are prepped. I'm ready to go. I'm not dragging in ever, right? You have energy. And when you get closer to our age, your energy goes, like, unless you keep it up. So do you correlate that to other areas of your life?
I do. Well, I just look at it like my day has started successfully if I have done the workout, and then I also walk. So I used to run and now I'm walking, but I'm still doing, 5 miles, something like that a day, sometimes more, sometimes a little bit less, but I need the cardio and I need the weights and all of the things. So yes, I feel like I've accomplished something before the day's even started.
Right.
And it used to be when I was writing books that I would get up at 4 a.m. and write books. And then I would I'd write every morning because my kids would not be awake yet. But when was I going to work in the workouts? And that's where I started to do time blocking. Like, I've got to figure out how to do all the things that make me feel good, because if I feel good, I'm going to be more productive during the day.
Right. And I think if you treat it like a client appointment, your workout is an appointment.
Yep.
You're going to do it every day at that time. And I started that when I had young kids as well, because the kids were little. I didn't want to interrupt their time, had to get them up and ready for school and all that stuff, that if I did it at 5 a.m, guess what? No one needs me.
Right.
No one's calling to see if I want to go do anything.
Right.
And my family's all asleep. So by the time I get home, I haven't interrupted anybody's life.
Yep.
And then it just becomes a habit. And now I have no kids at home and I can, work out whenever I want, but I still go, at 5 a.m.
Follow the schedule.
So, which is great.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay. Books. So 9 books. When have you had time to write 9? I just wrote 1 book and it took me forever. And we actually just recorded the audio that took even longer. I don't know if you've done an audiobook. Don't you think it'd be easy to read from a book like that you wrote? It was way harder than I thought it would be.
You would think, yes. So I started writing books when I started Red Zone Marketing because I felt like I was younger, I needed to have some credibility. I wanted to have some ideas. I was speaking. I wanted to have something I could sell in the back of the room that would continue and lead to some consulting. And so I started writing books. And the more I started writing books, and I got to deal with Wiley, and then I was writing books for Wiley. And it just was a great thing to do to build your personal brand. Also very difficult. And my time for writing those Wiley books were if you want to meet our schedule, can you write the book in 4 months? And I was like, well, I've written other books. I mean, I kind of know how to do it. And so I time blocked the heck out of it and I did it. But I had to make a lot of sacrifices in my life to be able to do those things, without trying to ever sacrifice time with my kids. But it was like time with friends. And then I did the PhD program, which was the same thing. It's like, it was a big sacrifice. But I look back and I go, well, man, it was a good thing that I did that when I did it. But at the time I was like, oh man, this is so hard.
But everything leads to something greater. So I think everything in your life, even that first job, I know you deal with students a lot, and we hire a lot of students from OSU and people right out of college and do a lot of internships. And everything you do takes you to that next thing. So even if you think this job is terrible and, I don't like what I'm doing and I feel like it's useless, you are learning skills to take you to that next job, to that next thing. So speaking of students, and I know you're a huge mentor to students at OSU, but what is like the number one piece of advice for a student graduating to try to get a job? My daughter just graduated and it was tough. Getting jobs, there's so many people looking for jobs, and she was a marketing major and it was like there's a million. I don't know. I probably got 50 resumes a month You went, right around graduation time, which is insane. So what is your advice?
To start before graduation time was one of the pieces of advice, because it seems like the students that have their best senior year are the ones that have had internships earlier and have found where they're going to go so they can enjoy. Because the thing about college is, man, it is the best time in the whole world, right? And but you only get 3 or 4 years while you're doing it. But if you're so stressed out about getting a job and doing that, so I think having internships is the most important thing. And thank you for doing those internships and helping students understand what they like, what they don't like, teaching them to do the different things like social media and other things like that. Not from a personal standpoint, from a business standpoint, it's really different. So I always say you've got to make your contacts and you've got to have those internships. And I started a sports marketing program at OSU. And it's really hard to get jobs in sports marketing. Like it's even harder than just regular marketing.
So you started that? The OSU didn't have that before?
No.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I started that because of the success I had with a club on campus called the Brand Squad. And the Brand Squad is an organization that helps our student athletes with their name, image, and likeness. It's sort of an agency that doesn't get paid, that's all volunteers. And we were finding that 100% of our Brand Squad students were getting jobs in sports marketing. And we thought, well, why don't we actually teach sports marketing in a different way? And so we created a major option for sports marketing, and now we have a certificate option too. So
NIL's changed the game.
It's changed
absolutely the game. For college sports.
Yep.
And these students or these athletes trying to acclimate to that, and it's about the money, and it's such a different world, than it was before. So having you kind of guide them, I bet, has just been invaluable.
Well, that's the reason I started the Brand Squad, because I have a son that played Division I hockey, and I'm like, there was no way he would have time to develop his personal brand and to talk to businesses and to be an entrepreneur. He was just busy enough, like hopefully going to class and then also doing the work that he was doing in his case, on the ice. And so I started the Brand Squad knowing that they needed some extra help. And so that's exactly what it turned out to be. And it's a really great experience for our students. And that's why our students are getting hired in jobs in sports marketing. And then we decided, well, let's what are some advanced things that we can present to the students in the form of academia and classes and things like that. And we actually started an advanced sports marketing class that I teach with our AD, Chad Weiberg, which is amazing because I don't think there's any other ADs. I don't know. I didn't fact check, but I didn't know there any other ADs that are teaching a class. Yeah. And he got his MBA at Oklahoma State, and I asked him to teach the class, and he didn't respond for a little bit, and then he said yes. And I thought, oh my gosh. So we're starting our second semester of doing that in the classroom together. So
you have to be an athlete to enroll?
No.
Oh, okay. If you want to go into sports marketing.
Anybody can enroll. In fact, there's some athletes that will be in there, because I think actually sports marketing is a great path for athletes, because a lot of them will end up working in an athletic department or as a coach or doing other things in sports, and understanding sports marketing is really important. So it's a good place, but we probably have 50-50 student athletes and students that are in the class.
And they're learning how to create a personal brand
They're learning, well, in the case of the advanced sports marketing class, they're learning how a college athletics program works. Like everybody comes in to speak, all the coaches, people in the front office, incredible. All the marketing people. And then we have speakers from across the country. Like we just got a Macor, who is the publisher of Sports Business Journal. He comes in and talks. We have the lawyer for the Big 12. We had the Big 12 commissioner in our class. So, and that's all because of Chad. So it really, it's helpful, and the students totally benefit. Like, where else are you going to be able to see all of these people and make these contacts that turn into other things? And everybody that comes in front of us will give advice to the students on what should you do. And it's all about making contacts, writing thank you notes, being aware of everything that's going on, not ever burning any bridges, and finding those internships.
And I think just taking that extra mile, that's something that I talk to my daughter about, because I'm like, most people are lazy. Let's just get real, right? Sending the thank you notes.
Not my students. Not your daughter.
Right. But how many people send thank you notes anymore, right? It doesn't happen. You don't get, so if you just show a little extra effort, you're there early, you're, staying late, you're doing those extra things that just is a little bit of effort, or even just having a great attitude, you're going to be remembered.
Absolutely.
Those things are important.
People don't think about, it's the little things, really. It's the little things that are memorable that make a big difference. You don't need to make a big splash. It's the little things that start to add up, and you go, that person's different.
Right.
That person is somebody I want to hire.
Right. That's exactly it. Yeah. Okay, let's talk AI. Since we're talking students, I know we as, DT Branding, our marketing team, we have dove into AI. We use it every single day. It's a really big part of what we're doing. Our producer here just wrote a book on AI, wrote a book with using AI about AI, which is incredible. And so AI in schools, is it like just a no-no and you're cheating and you can't do it? Like what is the general thought?
Well, there is a lot of that, and it depends on what class you're teaching and what you're trying to teach. So, for instance, I'm teaching a course this summer called Content Marketing. Well, I do content marketing in my firm, Red Zone Marketing, and I know exactly how we do it, and we use AI every day to help us with brainstorming, with ideas, with topics, and first drafts of different things. And so I teach the content marketing class for the very first time with AI. So students are required to prompt AI, and I want to see those prompts. They have to screenshot their prompt, screenshot what the output was, and then show me what you changed from that output. And that's a big difference because a lot of professors are like, well, you cannot use it. But in the case of marketing, we actually use it every day in marketing. So instead of telling the students never use AI and they're just going to use it to cheat, which they do, and they're very good at it, apparently, but using it actually in work is a totally different thing. It's like using social media personally and using social media for business. There's some nuances, there's some differences, and certainly there is with AI as well. So I embrace it, but there are some other professors who feel like you can't. And so some professors are going back to the old blue book where students have to write their essay during class.
Oh, wow.
Because if you have any kind of electronic equipment, you can just ChatGPT it,
Yeah.
So there's some different perspectives, but from a marketing perspective, we have to learn how to use AI effectively. And, when you go out into the real world, those employers are actually wanting you to know how to use it. Well, we've got to teach it. We've got to be able to teach it. So another professor, Sarah Johnson, and I are actually going to start an AI club. We're starting it this fall. We'll start recruiting members. So it's an AI club and speaker series where we're going to bring in employers. We should bring in you. Bring in employers to talk to our students about how you use AI in the work world so that they really understand what's going on. And we're going to bring in people from big corporations and small places, but the places that our students are getting hired so that they have a good perspective of what's actually happening. So AI Club and Speaker Series, I'm all about AI, but you have to use it wisely. It still does all sorts of things like hallucinate and tell you things that aren't true, and you've got to be able to look through it. But the key with it, in the case of just writing, is being able to prompt it well. And if you prompt it well, it makes a huge difference. I mean, is it a problem for jobs? It might be. We used to have 4 writers on staff at Red Zone Marketing. We have 1 now.
And they need to know AI or they're not going to be a good candidate for the position.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Whoever uses AI the best keeps the job.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean,
because you're able to do it faster and better, and you've got to be able to work with AI. You just don't put it in and then screenshot it and then there's my output. No, that's not it. You've got to be able to massage it and make it your own.
Well, I love that you're embracing it because it is something in the workforce we're using every day and learning. Everyone's still out there learning what works best. But I think the key of what you said, it's the first draft. Always make it the first draft. You're still going to need a human touch, human eyes to look over it. But if it can save you hours with a first draft like that, why would you not?
Absolutely.
So I love that you're embracing that.
And it's great for idea generation too. Like, I need to write an essay about the 6 P's of marketing and a product that I really like. I like these products. Which would be the best one to write an article on or write an essay on? And ChatGPT will give you all the answers. Well, you should do this or think about this, or here's some ideas, and it just really helps. Like it's sort of like your marketing assistant.
It is. Or your consultant, or your accountant,
your coach.
I mean, one of the things that I know we talked about EO earlier before we started. We both were members of that, but a lot of my people in my forum have been putting their P&L in there and saying, "Tell me the efficiencies. Where can I save money?" I mean, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
and it's spitting out, giving you accounting advice
in seconds.
Yeah. It really is crazy. Well, there's a lot of women out there that are watching this that want to start a business, and maybe they have little kids at home, and I'm assuming you had kids at home when you were doing Red Zone and all of that. And so what's your number one piece of advice?
Well, let me just start to go backwards to tell you, because this wasn't all by design. Like, I did not go, you know what, I think I'll start a marketing consulting firm. It was my husband and I got married. We were living in Washington, D.C. 3 months later, after we got married, I was pregnant, and he got transferred to Chicago. So now I'm 5 months pregnant and trying to get a job, and I look like I'm 9 months pregnant and I had just finished my MBA. I had a job I had a corporate job in DC, and now all of a sudden I've got to go look for a job in Chicago. I'm like, no one is going to hire me 5 months pregnant. I look like I was 9 months pregnant. I'm like, I guess I'll just start a firm. And so it was not by design. It was not the right time. There was nothing about it except for the fact that I needed to have a job, and that's what I decided I would do. I'll just help small businesses with their marketing. At least I can do that. And that's how the whole thing started. So it is not, I guess my piece of advice would be, don't wait until it's the perfect time, because I don't think it's ever the perfect time to start a business or to do something. There's going to be all sorts of ups and downs, but you just have to be ready that there are going to be those ups and downs, because every day is not perfect. And some days you got cash flow issues, and other days you've got other issues, and now you got a client issue, and it's a lot of things. And it's not like you can give it to anybody else. When it's yours, it's yours.
Right. What makes Red Zone marketing different?
So we use this idea that the red zone is a concept of football. And I learned football from my grandmother. So I always tell this story about my grandmother and how she's a big Green Bay Packers fan, and I'm from Wisconsin. And so my earliest memory is sitting with my grandma watching the Packers play football. And she would school me in the rules and the positions, the players, the teams, the calls the referees were making. She would make me actually she would say it's pop quiz time at halftime of every game, and she'd make me break down the offense and the defense.
Oh, my goodness.
And I thought it, kind of was normal. Like, I thought all little girls were doing this with their grandmas, because how else would I, but we really talked a lot about this concept. And back in the day, we didn't call it the red zone. It's the final 20 yards before you score. And it's that space on the football field where everything changes. You either win, you lose, you drop the ball, you fumble the ball, you score, but it all happens in the red zone. It doesn't happen way down the other end of the field. That's where you're sending out direct mail with a 0.25% response rate. It's what are you doing in the red zone? And so that's always what we focus on at Red Zone Marketing is, what are we doing today to make a change today? There's lots of marketing consulting where you're looking at a 10-year outlook or a 5-year outlook, and that's great. We look at a 6-month outlook and what can we do to make change right now for the clients that we're working with. So we operate in that red zone mentality.
I love that. And that's a beautiful brand story. So we teach that a lot, right? What is your story behind your business? Because people want to get to know you. And that's such a relatable, great, fun, funny story, about the red zone. So yeah. I love that.
Thank you.
Well, what's next for you? If you had to say, I feel like you've checked all the boxes of what you could do. What's out there that you haven't done yet that you'd love to do?
Well, in some cases, I'm not sure that I actually even know, because, I mentioned before that I just say yes to everything. And so when they asked me to teach a class on name, image, and likeness, personal branding, when this whole NIL thing started, I said yes. And then I thought, well, I need to start a club. And I started the Brand Squad, and I did that. And now we have national attention around this club on campus. I'm doing all sorts of things that I didn't expect to do, but I'm looking for the next opportunity. And I think that there's a lot of opportunity in athletics and also in academics that I'll be involved in moving forward. But I do think that my main priority is, how do we teach better in the classroom? How do I teach better in the classroom? How do I get the word across in a different way? Because the way that I was taught, and probably you in college, was way different than the way that it's successful in the classroom today. It's much more facilitation and interaction as it is speaking and lecturing and all the boring stuff that nobody ever liked, but that's just the way we did it. So I think that there's a lot of things that I will try to do to innovate in the teaching space too.
What's different about students today versus back in the day? Like, what do you think the main thing?
Well, I think there's, there's lots of differences. We didn't have social media back then and all of those kinds of things. We have shorter attention spans. But, at the end of the day, I never liked long, boring lectures from old men professors. Right. I never liked it.
But we didn't have a choice. We didn't have a choice.
But now we see the difference. And so I'm not sure that there's this many huge changes. I think that we've just been innovating as an industry, the education industry, to be able to do things differently. But I think that I don't know. I think that if you look at what teaching is today and what it will be tomorrow, I think it is more of a changing landscape to be ready for the students, to teach them better, to allow them to look back and go, wow, that class was so valuable. I learned marketing. I got an MBA in marketing, and I don't remember most of my classes in my MBA. And I remember some of the professors; those were the memorable ones. But I don't want to be that for my students. I want to be able to actually teach them so they can walk away with something and go, I got something from this class. Even if I don't even want to ever be a marketing major, I got something from this class. I learned something that I'll use in my real life. So that's kind of the hope.
Well, your passion shows through. I mean, it's obvious. So I love that. I want to go take your class.
Well, the students are, working with young people keeps you young. And so I love it. I mean, I feel like I'm getting younger, and really I'm obviously getting older, but I feel like I'm getting younger. I understand different slang words now. I don't try to use them, but I understand them. I'm doing TikTok. I mean, I'm doing all the things that I thought, well, that's not really age appropriate, but you know what? Yeah. It's fine. It's fine because, my TikTok account, that is for students. It is not to monetize. It is not to do anything but to be approachable to students. And I do not want financial advisors watching my TikTok. I mean, they can if they want, but I'm doing things like outfit of the day and things that they would be like, what is she doing? And plus, I have two personalities. I've got my red zone personality where I wear red, and then I've got my OSU personality where I wear orange. I've got two sections of my closet with two kinds of shoes and two kinds of colors. So, but it's been a lot of fun teaching young people and being around them. Does keep you young.
And I'm imagining your agency is basically delegated. I mean, people are running it because you're busy doing other things, which is great. To get to that point where you can walk away, be the visionary. That's a hard part in a business, to go from the day-to-day inside. Now you're the visionary looking in and saying, so how much of your day is spent with Red Zone? Just, you said Tuesday, Thursdays. Yeah,
Tuesdays and Thursdays. In the summer, it's a little bit more. I do teach classes online in the summer, but it's a little bit more in the summer where we're really focusing on a lot of business planning and working towards the future. That's a big thing that we do in the summer, because I used to, every day was the same. And now summers are like, well, I don't have to be on campus, so I can spend time doing some other things. But I still do a lot of speaking engagements, and the speaking engagements drive consulting business. Mm-hmm. So I still have to be out there doing that speaking, and I love doing that, by the way. So it's fun doing that, but that takes me away from Stillwater, and then I'm just back in Stillwater right after that.
So what's the one trait, final question, one trait that's led to your success? If you had to say there's one thing that you've done over the years that's led to success, what is that?
I mean, I would say, and you mentioned it before, but I hear people say this all the time, and it's something that I didn't even recognize, like you're really passionate about what you're doing. And well, what else am I supposed to be doing? Like, I don't even know how else to act. And someone's like, well, you're certainly passionate about this. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is just me. This is just me loving what I'm doing. But I would say, if you're going to do it, be passionate about it. Let people know how much you care about it.
And do something you love. Obviously, you're doing something you love. Yeah. People are in jobs that aren't excited, and you can see it on their face and it comes across. But if you do something you love, like in sales, it can come across so great, because it's like, hey, I love what I'm doing. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm just sharing what I know.
Yeah, absolutely. It takes the sale out of it. It's like, well, she's not selling me anything. She really believes in this. Yeah.
Well, you're definitely someone who's doing it your way. And I appreciate you being on. Love your insight. I could talk to you for hours, but I just really appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to be here.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the Do It My Way podcast. If you're wanting to build a personal brand, but you aren't sure where to start, I want you to book a discovery call with me at deedradetterman.com. I hope you are empowered today to do business on your terms with no regrets, hesitation, or fear. Again, head over to deedradetterman.com and click on Get a Quote.